Hello, everybody. We'll get started in just a little bit. We'll give some people just a little bit more time to kind of get logged on, and then we'll get started. All right, everybody, we're gonna get started. And if anybody joins, they'll just kind of jump on in and stuff. But welcome everybody. We're super excited to have you guys here tonight to learn more about wildlife monitoring and our citizen science initiative within Dubuque County and Jackson County. My name's Addy Schober. I'm one of the naturalists here for Dubuque County.
I'm Julia. I'm one of the naturalists for Jackson County Conservation.
Yeah. So we will kind of go over our schedule now. No, it doesn't want to change. Okay, perfect. I'll kind of let Julia take over and kind of explain that.
Yeah, before we fully jump into all the different projects and all of the super exciting stuff going on in Iowa, here's just a little idea of the schedule for you guys. So we've got our little intro right now. Then these are all the different projects and taxa that we're going to be talking about. So we've got bees. We're so excited to have some guest speakers. So for bees, we have Jenny from the Xerces Society for Invertebrate Conservation to talk about the Bumblebee Atlas project. We've got Heather from Water Quality, for the Isaac Walton League of America talking about water quality in the Save Our Stream program. Then we've got butterflies that Addie's going to talk about, birds I'll also talk about bats for you guys. And we've also got our snapshot Dubuque County and Swiss Valley BioBlitz. So in general, we're going to go through each project, and after each person presents on their taxa on their program, we'll have a few minutes for questions if you have any. Or feel free, if you want to hang on to them to the end, you can. We'll have time at the end for anyone to ask questions about any of the projects they heard.
Yeah. Yeah. So just in general, so everybody kind of knows what tonight is about. So within Dubuque and Jackson County, we're doing an initiative where we're working with community members to train them and get them knowledgeable about the different taxa, so bees, water quality, butterflies, birds, bats, and some other things. And then they would be able to help with collecting data and doing the surveys and monitoring so that we can then know what kind of diversity we have within the two counties as well. So yeah, we're just partnering together so that we can try and cover as many areas as possible. Yeah, so just kind of giving you an overview of what that is. So we'll kind of jump into those different topics and talk about what each project actually looks like, where that data is going to go, and like why we're collecting it with that too. So yeah.
Yeah. In addition, we are recording, so if you miss anything, if something goes by, or if you want to reference back something, we'll post these online so you guys can reference them back.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll get kind of started then, and we're going to be having Jenny start off with bees, and we will share the screen with her, and she'll kind of be able to talk about what that survey and monitoring project looks like.
Awesome. Is it okay if I share my screen for a presentation? Okay, awesome.
That's perfect.
All right, just give me a second to bring my slides up. Ooh, I cannot start screen share while you're presenting. Try that again. Okay, and my slides should be up. Can you guys all see my slide deck? Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Genevieve Pajesic. I'm a conservation biologist working for the Xerces Society. And today I'm here representing the Bumblebee Atlas program. I just want to acknowledge really quickly before I jump into everything that there are a lot of different folks who are working on this effort. This is a statewide project that is a collaboration between the Iowa DNR, Iowa State University, and the Xerces Society. And I'm just one of the people who is working on this. All right, so as I mentioned, the Bumblebee Atlas is a community science project focused on bumblebees, and there are a lot of different reasons to target this group. The first one is that many species of bumblebees are imperiled. There are several different species of bumblebees in Iowa that are considered at risk or threatened or even endangered. The second reason is that bumblebees are really important pollinators for both our natural ecosystems and our agricultural systems. They're generalists. They forage on lots of different types of flowers, and they're found in lots of different types of habitats, which makes them really important in lots of different systems. They also have a really unique ecological niche. They can forage when it's really cold and rainy outside, which is special for bees. A lot of bees are just sort of out when it's really warm out. And so they're important pollinators, especially for those crops that are blossoming in the spring when it's a little cool, when it can be a little rainy sometimes. They're also a really good target for community science projects because they are super charismatic. They're really fluffy and they're really big. They're kind of like the bumblebee or the teddy bears of the insect world. And they have been popular for a very long time. We actually have very good historic data on bumblebees compared to most other species of bees. And so because of this, we can think of bumblebees as being a flagship for bees in general. And by looking at what's going on with them, we can make some generalizations about what's going on with other bees as well. So the Bumblebee Atlas is a collaborative effort to track and monitor bees. We are now in 20 different states, and we introduced an Atlas effort in 2020. The Atlas is a community science project, so that means that we rely on the time and effort of volunteers to help us collect data. And the data that you collect can help us do things like monitor changes in bumblebee populations, look at the distribution of species across the state, and fill in knowledge gaps regarding habitat associations and floral resource preferences. And from this information, we can take that and to begin form evidence-based recommendations for land managers who want to restore habitat for bumblebees. So putting together things like seed mixes and plant lists, but that can happen because of your work. So our goal really is to spread our effort throughout the region. And so to do this, we divide every state that we work in into these really big grid cells. Each grid cell is 50 by 50 kilometers, and they cover the entire state. You can notice on this map that some of those grid cells are highlighted in blue. Those are grid cells that we mark as high priority. And what that means is that those are grid cells we really want to encourage people to adopt because they are either undersurveyed or they overlap the range of a species that we're interested in or something like that. You'll also notice that there are some grid cells marked with hatch marks, and those are grid cells we have to take extra care and precautions for when we are working in them because there's high incidence of rusty patch bumblebee there. And I'll get into that in a moment, a little bit further. So if you're interested in signing up for the project, what you do is you adopt one of these grid cells. And what that means is that you're making a pledge to do 2 surveys sometime during our survey window. So between June and between the very 1st of June and the very end of September. So what do those surveys look like? The surveys have 2 components. The first component is to document what bumblebees are in an area. And most of the time people are going to be doing a point survey. That's where you go out to a hectare-sized area and basically search for bumblebees for a period of 45 minutes. Part 2 is to complete a really rapid assessment of the habitat that you're in when you're doing the survey. So what kind of land cover type are you in? Are you in a grassland? Are you in a forest? What kind of flowers you're seeing? Super general basic info. So we can connect that habitat information to what we're seeing going on with the bumblebees. So generally, when people are participating in the Atlas, they are doing a survey where they are going out. They're catching every single bumblebee that they are sighting during their survey. They chill them down in a cooler, and then they by chilling them, they are basically cold anesthetizing the bee, so they're not moving around. And then they photograph that bee so that they can document what bee they sighted when they were in the field, and then they release the bee. So these methods are non-invasive. You're not going out and killing bumblebees when you are doing a survey for the Atlas. You're documenting them by taking pictures of them and then sending them to us. I will mention, because we are in Iowa, and specifically we are talking about Dubuque, which is an area that overlaps with the range of the rusty patch bumblebee. We do have some limitations in this state. And that's because the rusty patch bumblebee that I mentioned earlier is an endangered species, which has federal protections in place for it. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service every year puts out a map of high and low potential zones for the rusty patch bumblebee. So these are areas where they think the rusty patch bumblebee is likely present or could be present. So those are the red and yellow splotches that you see there. And in these specific areas, netting bumblebees is not permissible without a permit. And these permits to handle rusty patch bumblebee are pretty hard to get. And so what that means is that if you're interested in engaging with the Bumblebee Atlas and you don't have a permit, the only way that you can do so is by doing what we call a photo-only survey. So basically you're doing the same protocol as you would if you were doing a traditional survey, except for instead of catching the bees and then chilling them down and photographing them, you're just trying to photograph them as they're on flowers. So this type of methodology requires no handling or capture of bumblebees, so we're still working within the guidelines established by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The photo-only surveys are harder to do because it's a lot harder to take a picture of a bumblebee when it's on a flower than when it's cold and completely still. But I will mention that the Wisconsin Bumblebee Brigade, all of the surveys that they do in Wisconsin are photo only. So this is a legitimate way to collect data for the Atlas as well. Okay, so irregardless of how you are participating in the Atlas, if you are taking pictures of still bees or taking pictures of bees on flowers, either way, you will submit your data that you collect to our online data submission platform, Bumblebee Watch. This is a little bit like iNaturalist, if you've ever used iNaturalist. Basically, you upload your photos and then somebody who is a researcher or an expert will verify what species of bumblebees you saw. We got off to a really great start last year. Participants in the Iowa Bumblebee Atlas collected over 1,000 sightings of 11 different bumblebee species. But we still have a long ways to go. We really want to get full coverage of the state. We want to see all of those grid cells adopted. And if you look at this map, those grid cells that are hatched are ones that weren't adopted last year. So we really love to engage with you all in Dubuque. There's a big chunk of the area in the northeastern corner of Iowa that we haven't gotten to yet, partially because of the difficulties in surveying there because of rusty patch bumblebee. Right, so if you are interested in participating, the first step is to get trained. We have 2 upcoming events. If you are thinking that you would like to join the Atlas, both of these trainings are required. So the first event is on April 19th. It covers bumblebee ecology and conservation. So just kind of giving you some general background information about bumblebees so you know their ecology and sort of that you can contextualize the work that we're doing. And then on May 10th, we are doing our Atlas Protocols event. So that would give you all of the information that you need to get started with the Atlas. We talk about how to sign up, how to actually do a survey, basically everything that you need to get started. If you miss those live events, don't sweat it. We're going to upload the recordings of those videos to our online trading portal. So everything that you need is available online to get you started. We're also going to be holding some in-person field trainings in Iowa this year. Basically, we just go out with folks who are interested in the Atlas and we teach them how to collect bumblebees, how to use their net, how to identify different bumblebees in the field. Fingers crossed that we get an event scheduled in the Dubuque area for this summer. So keep an eye out on our events page for that. I just want to say thank you all so much for your time. If you are interested in the Atlas, feel free to shoot me an email. My email is genevievepajesek@xerces.org. And if you scan that QR code, it will take you right to the Bumblebee Atlas website and you can learn more there. Thank you to everyone who supported this work, who supports the Xerces Society and the Atlas. And thank you all so much for having me today. And with that, I will take any questions. I think, unless we don't have time.
No, we have time. Yeah, if anybody does have questions, please feel free. Others, if you don't get a chance to ask, you can put it in the group, the chat too. But yeah, did you have a question? Do you want to ask it?
Oh yeah, we were kind of curious how many threatened and endangered bees there are in Iowa.
Yeah, so the only bee that is federally listed as endangered is the rusty patch bumblebee. But there are several species that are considered threatened, at risk, or endangered by the IUCN Red List that are in Iowa. So the Southern Plains bumblebee, I think, is considered. So there are a few that are considered critically endangered by IUCN Red List, and that would be the rusty patch bumblebee, Ashton's cuckoo bumblebee, and then the variable cuckoo bumblebee. And the variable cuckoo bumblebee, I don't think has been seen since like 1999 or something like that. So that one, it would be amazing if we found it, but that one could be extinct potentially. And then endangered bees would be the Southern Plains bumblebee in Iowa. That one is being petitioned for listing currently. And then there are several species that are considered at risk. So the yellow bumblebee, the American bumblebee, and then the yellow banded bumblebee. That one potentially might not be native to Iowa, but it might be in the state. So that one is one that is considered at risk, but could potentially be in the state, may not be. So I think there's something like 7 in total.
Oh, and then someone had asked if you could go back to your email address.
Yes. I can drop it in the chat really quick.
And then someone had asked if Jackson County Conservation was organizing any events to survey bees. We are, yeah, talk about that in a little bit, but we have Dubuque and Jackson County both have a couple bee surveys coming up this summer.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for sharing that. That was all really great information, especially learning too, yeah, about all of the different endangered and threatened bees too. I never heard of the variable cuckoo bumblebee before, so that's actually really exciting, and I'm excited to go look that up later actually and see what that bumblebee looks like. But yeah, if anybody ever has any questions too, please feel free to reach out to her or us too, and we can try and help with those questions as well.
Do you guys mind if I drop a few links to the website in the chat for folks?
Please do. Yeah,
I
definitely.
will. I'll drop the event. I'll drop the link to our events page for you all and to the Iowa Bumblebee Atlas page too.
Thank you. Okay. And then Jenny, if you don't mind ending sharing then we'll be able to talk to you guys about kind of the upcoming events that we have for that was my fault. I was the one slacking, guys. Sorry. Thankfully Julia's here and definitely helping me out. All right, so let me go to the next page.
Yeah, so these are the upcoming events we have. So Dubuque and Jackson County, we have a few surveys if you want to help us with some of our bee surveys. So June 7th, we'll have from 12 to 2 a survey going on at Swiss Valley and Hirschfeld Interpretive Center. So if you're in Dubuque or Jackson County, you don't have to go super far. And then July 13th, we'll have a joint one at Whitewater Canyon from 12 to 2. And then as a reminder, the Xerces webinars, April 19th and May 10th around there. So
yes. And so the ones that will be in June and then July that we were doing, those will be those photo only ones, just to kind of mention that as well. Because we won't be trained officially to do that, and we are in that hot zone with the Rusty Patch too. So just so everybody knows, a phone is going to be needed.
yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, if you do come and you're just kind of looking to learn, that's definitely okay too. All right, so I'll move on to our next page then. Julia,
Yeah, so next we have Heather from the Isaac Walton League of America to talk about the Clean Water Hub Save Our Stream program and talking about some ways that you can get involved in water quality monitoring.
Yeah. So Heather, I'm going to stop sharing our screen and we'll let you then share your screen if that works for you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me join you today. Citizen science is right up my alley, so it's really exciting to hear about all the different ways to get involved in programs I've never even heard of. So I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see it, and I'm gonna make sure can you see my cursor? Awesome. Well, yes, as you heard, I'm going to be speaking about water quality community science, otherwise known as citizen science. And sharing a whole bunch of different resources and programs that are available specifically in Iowa. So first and foremost, I work for the Isaac Walton League of America, which is a conservation nonprofit. We're present nationally, and we've been around for just over 100 years, if you can believe it. Our focus is the conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. And you might be familiar with the league from one of our member chapters. We have chapters all across the country. We definitely have a huge footprint in Iowa with over 30 chapters. I think we have close to 40. I work for our national office, which is headquartered in Gaithersburg, Maryland, but I actually work remotely and I'm Zooming to you from my home office in St. Louis. So we're all over the place. I used to live in Iowa until recently, and so in my role as Save Our Streams coordinator, I support a lot of our partners in the Midwest, particularly in Iowa. So I've got a bit of ground to cover, so apologies in advance if I speak quickly, but this is our roadmap. We're going to speak about these 4 different resources available to water quality monitors in Iowa. And the first resource is actually available to anyone. You don't even need to be collecting data to make use of this, but I'll start with the Clean Water Hub, which is our free and open source water quality database. And you can access that at cleanwaterhub.org. So this is the place where all of our volunteers report their data, but it's also the place where plenty of other organizations report water quality data if they want to use this as a resource to showcase and visualize and just kind of keep track of their volunteer collected data. There are lots of databases out there, and you may have interacted with one or two that were not super easy to understand, easy to make use of. The Clean Water Hub was designed to be really user-friendly and have a low barrier to entry. So we try and make everything easy to understand. We color code things, we create visuals automatically, and it's meant to be easy to get that data in and visualize and also get it out so that you can use it for communication and advocacy. So this is just a screen grab of what you might see on the Clean Water Hub. All of our maps are interactive, so you can zoom in, you can click on sites, and in this case, we're looking at a map of all of the water quality sites in Iowa, and as you can see, there are a lot. Part of that is because if anyone remembers Iowa Water, that program where the DNR was training volunteers across the state to do water quality monitoring, well, it doesn't exist anymore, but the data still does. And all of the, not all, but a lot of the sites that you're seeing on this map are actually that data that is showcased in the Clean Water Hub. And so we can still revisit that data even though the program isn't around anymore, and we can even adopt those sites and continue to add to those sites. So if you are listening and you participated in Iowa Water, maybe you can adopt your old site and add new data to it. It's kind of a cool opportunity. But there's plenty of new data coming in from the programs that I'll talk about here in just a second. But I just wanted to showcase on this slide also, in addition to, the maps and being able to click on different sites, you can also click into a site and view all of the data in these great automatically generated graphs. So this is a resource, obviously, to the folks reporting data and the people maybe managing organizations of volunteers, but it's also a resource for citizens and, educators who are just interested in having a local source of relevant water quality data. So that is the Clean Water Hub, and I'm moving right along to my first citizen science program, and that is Salt Watch. Salt Watch has its own coordinator. Her name is Addy. She's located at our headquarters in Maryland, but she helps with volunteers and organizations all across the country. So if you have questions about this program, Abby is happy to help you. But Salt Watch is our first crowdsourced program that I'll talk about. It was launched in 2018, and it focuses on one chemical parameter, and that is chloride, otherwise known as salt. And it's all about mobilizing volunteers to monitor the impacts of road salt pollution in waterways. And specifically, we're trying to advocate for smarter salting practices. And very briefly, I'll just mention why salt? Why do we care about salt? You may not realize that when we salt in the winter, it's providing all these safety benefits and traction and all that good stuff, but the salt doesn't just disappear. And when it rains following a winter weather event, the salt will make its way into groundwater, into surface water, and it creates a really stressful environment for macroinvertebrates and fish and even the plant life. So it's creating an environmental stressor. I think we've all seen what salt can do to our cars, to our roads, but also to our pipes. So drinking water infrastructure is also really impacted by oversalting. And then the human health impact comes through that drinking water connection as well. I don't think any of us need to be drinking extra salt in our diet, but even more important than that is the mobilization of metals. When we get corrosion in our pipes, when we have salt moving through soils before it makes its way into aquifers, it can move a lot of metals, which then can have health and also taste impacts on our water. So for all of these reasons and more, we decided it was worth launching this community science program back in 2018 to really get a handle on where and how intense this pollution problem is. So Salt Watch is a program where we send out free test kits. It includes everything that you see here. There's 4 of these chloride test strips. If you're sure that you're going to need more, you're working with a group or something, you can reach out to Abby about requesting more than 4 test strips, but this is enough to get you started, hopefully. It also includes postcards, which explains how to use the test strips, how to interpret your results, and then how to report that data to the Clean Water Hub. So participating is simple. You request a kit at saltwatch.org. It'll come to you in an envelope through the mail, and once your kit is in hand, you can take it outside and measure either surface water, like you see here, rivers, lakes, streams. You can also measure drinking water if you're concerned about maybe salt in your drinking water. We can accept that data as well. Data instructions or data collection is really simple. There's instructions in the kit, but it takes just a couple minutes. And then you will follow the instructions in your kit to report that data to the Clean Water Hub. And there it can be visualized on our maps. These again are interactive, so you can zoom in, you can click into sites. You can use these date filters to view just a subset of the data. You can also filter by water source type. So if you're just interested in, wetlands, you can isolate that subset. And then in each site, the data is summarized in these graphs as well. So lots of really cool visualization stuff. And then I'll just give a little teaser here because there's a lot more to talk about as far as, supplemental information. But on our website, saltwatch.org, you can find fact sheets. You can find, webinars that dive into different aspects of this issue if you're interested in learning more. We also, I mentioned advocacy, I think earlier. We're interested in promoting smarter salting, and a lot of that comes from sharing data locally and just getting in touch with the stakeholders who can make a difference. So we have some resources on our website to help get to the root of the problem as well. Okay, well, I take a drink of water. We'll be moving on to our next program, which is Nitrate Watch. Nitrate Watch doesn't have like a formal coordinator, but if you've got questions, you can send those my way. I manage this program, and Nitrate Watch, if it sounds similar to Salt Watch, that's because it is very much modeled off of that program. It is much newer. It started just a couple years ago in 2023. And through this program, we're mobilizing folks to monitor nitrate pollution in both their surface water and their drinking water. And just like Salt Watch, we're sending out those free test kits and getting the data back in much the same way. So with an Iowa audience, I have a feeling there's a little bit of baseline understanding of nitrate pollution and what it is, why we care. But really just the Spark Notes version, when we communicate about nitrate pollution's impacts, we're often talking about these three pillars. So the environmental impact, we're talking algae blooms, we're talking fish kills, the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico. We're basically introducing excess nutrients into a system and throwing the ecological balance off its axis. The human health impacts are really important, but maybe a little bit lesser known. I think more and more we're seeing this in the news a little bit, but when we have elevated nitrate in our drinking water, there are lots of health risks associated. Blue baby syndrome is really well documented. That's a health effect that affects infants 6 months or younger. But affecting all of us are things like cancers, thyroid disease, birth defects. And there is a drinking water standard in place for nitrate in drinking water. So if you get your water from a public utility, you can't have more than 10 parts per million in that water, or else someone's in trouble. But even below that drinking water standard, some of these health effects can be observed. So, and that's not even to mention the folks who are on wells who their water is not being treated by a utility. And then last but not least, the economic impact is really big. It's really expensive to treat our water. It's expensive to clean up our waterways. And so for so many more reasons than I have time to talk about now, we decided that it was worth launching the Nitrate Watch program to have more eyes on the ground, more people interacting with this pollution problem and gathering data. So just like Salt Watch, we're sending out these free test kits. In this case, you get a whole bottle of nitrate test strips. So that's 25 test strips. With Salt Watch, the strips are a little bit more robust, so we can like parse them out into smaller quantities. With Nitrate Watch, they're a little more dainty, but that's okay because that's 25 data points per person. That's a win in my case. So we include the test strips. We include postcards explaining how to use the test strips, how to report the data. We also throw in a sticker, so you can throw us on your water bottle, on your laptop, wherever you put your stickers. So participating begins by requesting a kit. Kits are free as supplies allow, available at nitratewatch.org. I will share a whole bunch of links on my last slide, by the way, if you're scrambling to write these down. So you use your test strips to monitor surface water or drinking water, whichever, or both, that you're interested in. It takes just 30 seconds to take a reading. And then you'll follow the instructions in your kit to report your data on the Clean Water Hub. And since we have all this nitrate data coming in, we summarize it on maps like this, just like the Saltwatch map. It's all that nitrate data together so we can color code the sites to reflect their water quality rating. We can sort by date as well as water source type. And we can click in and view the data that we're reporting and that others are reporting. And while this program is quite a bit younger than Saltwatch, we do have a lot of that background info developed. So if you're interested in learning about, different facets of the issue, maybe you're interested in the human health side of things, or maybe you're interested in the soil health solutions that exist, we've probably got a fact sheet or a blog or a webinar or all three that talk about those things. And we also have some advocacy resources, so like draft letters to your editor, letters to your representatives, if you're interested in getting the word out in that way. And if you have ideas or questions, you're welcome to reach out to us and we'll help you through that process as well. Okay, we're finally there. This is my last resource or program that I'll share, and it is the Save Our Streams program, which is kind of like our flagship citizen science program. And I structured this to go from like lowest barrier to entry to highest barrier to entry. But even that being said, there are some pretty simple ways to get involved with Save Our Streams that I'll talk about real quickly. So Save Our Streams is our national volunteer water quality monitoring program that's been around the longest. In one way, shape, or form, it's been around since 1969. It was actually used as a precursor, kind of like the template when they were developing iWater. So if you have done iWater testing, Save Our Streams would probably be pretty familiar to you. And this includes both biological and chemical monitoring. So what is that? Biological monitoring, we're calling it biological because these are living things. These are the critters that live in the stream. We're collecting them and we're identifying them. And specifically, we're talking about the benthic macroinvertebrates that live in the stream bottom. So these are the creepy crawlies, they're insect larvae, they're snails, worms, crustaceans, what have you. And we collect them because they are bioindicators. These are creatures that have variable tolerances to pollution. And they're really useful as a barometer for kind of overall water quality. So by collecting an assemblage of organisms in a pretty regimented way, identifying what you've collected, and then knowing the different sensitivities of those critters to pollution, you can get a really robust stream health assessment. So for biological monitoring, we do have training and certification that we offer. And this just allows us to know that, whether there's monitors, in Colorado or Iowa or Maryland, they are using the same protocols, using the same methods, reporting data in the same way. We can compare apples to apples, even across decades. We do have a network of trainers in Iowa. I think for this group, your closest trainer would be Taylor in Dubuque. Yes, nodding our heads. Taylor Schaefer's. So if I'm not sure that she has a training on her calendar like currently, but you know who to contact if you want to set one up, right? So we do have resources on our website that you can access anytime to get started with the online portion. But for the field training, you need a trainer, and luckily you have one in your backyard. Monitoring season is spring and fall. We typically recommend that you don't go more often than twice to the same site in a given year, just so you're not over sampling. You don't want to be the primary source of stress in your ecosystem, right? And yeah, this is really holistic, high quality data. It doesn't necessarily tell you, why your stream may be impaired or not, but it will tell you how healthy the stream is in a sort of an overall way. For that more specific information, we go to chemical monitoring. So chemical monitoring is easy and quick to do. If you've done it before, you can probably do a whole survey in like less than 20 minutes. It's not as invasive. You can do it as often as you care to, as long as the water is not frozen and it is flowing. And it can get to the heart of the reason for, a stream impairment or issue. So we definitely encourage folks to do chemical monitoring with a regularity so that you can create more of an understanding. You can understand trends, because just one chemical survey might not tell us as much, because some of those parameters do fluctuate naturally. But if you're going out with regularity, you can begin to understand if there is a change over time. When I say chemical monitoring for Save Our Streams, these are the parameters that we measure. I'm not going to go into detail about why we measure each of these, but if you do have questions, I'm happy to answer those. But you might be wondering how to participate with all of this various equipment. Luckily, Iowa has this network of equipment loan stations, and there's actually one in Jackson County and one in Dubuque County. So 14 and 15 here on this map. And what the equipment loan network is basically like a library system. You reach out to the point person at a given loan station and ask about borrowing the equipment. We're talking biological and chemical test equipment in almost every case. And you can use that to do Save Our Streams monitoring and then just give the equipment back, like the library. And at this website, iwla.org/equipment loan, you can view that map that I just showed in an interactive way, so you can click on it and actually know who to contact at a given site. And just want to say thanks to the REAP program, the REAP Conservation Education Program, for providing funding for this network. So that was a lot. I'm sure there's more I could say, but these are the links that will get you some answers for some of those programs that I mentioned. And I'm happy to take any questions if we do have time.
Yeah, does anybody have any questions right now? And again, you can drop it into the chat as well, if you guys kind of think of them later too. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much, Heather, because that was great information. I honestly was learning a lot too, and I kept looking at Julia, talking to her about some of the things that you were talking about. So that was really great. And we really do appreciate you being here and sharing all of that great information about this project.
Thank you. And my email is also on the screen here too. So if anyone thinks of a question later, really don't be shy. I'm happy to help.
It does look like we have one in the or in the chat. It says, is the salt study a year-long thing or just winter?
That's a great question. It actually used to be called Winter Salt Watch, but we realized that more and more as we were gathering this data, that salt does have lingering impacts all year round. So we definitely focus our efforts around the winter, because that's when salt's literally being thrown around. But if you're in an environment that has a lot of salt impacts in the summer, or sorry, in the winter, we're finding that in a lot of cases that salt doesn't really plateau until very late in the year. So it's lingering in the water. So it's great to be gathering data all year round. And also in some places, like I know in Minnesota, you would think that, they're throwing down salt because they get a lot of snow. Their primary source of salt pollution up there is water softeners. So that's another source that does not have like a temporal connection. So for all of our programs, with the exception of biological monitoring, you can participate year round.
That was great. Thank you. Do you have anything? No? Okay, perfect. Well, again, thank you so much, Heather. And if people again have questions, she put her email up on there. Maybe if you don't mind, do you mind dropping it just in the chat so people have that too and they can reference back to it if needed? Sure. But again, too, you are definitely welcome to reach out to Julia or myself. We'll have our emails up at the end of the presentation too, for you guys to be able to have and be able to, reach out if you guys have questions about this. And then not to distract you, Heather, too, from what I just asked, but do you mind if you end sharing from you and then I'll be able to, oh, probably did. And it's just me again being apparently struggling with technology. Okay, perfect. So with that, these are just some of the events that we will be doing then. I'll kind of let Julia explain them a bit because she is the one kind of taking the initiative, or taking charge of this part of the initiative, I should say.
Yeah, so these are some events in Dubuque and Jackson County where you can help us with our water quality testing. We're trying to, set up some more like consistent testing over the summer and then further on. These are some places where you can kind of like learn a little bit more in person about like, the testing, and we'll be covering like biological and chemical on those days as well. So you can literally dip your toes in to the testing. And then if you see on the right, we also have QR codes to the Nitrate Watch and Salt Watch websites. So if you're interested in one of those, feel free to take a picture of those now.
Yeah. So you probably will notice, like they're all located either at Prairie Creek or Swiss Valley. We were just trying to keep a consistent location. And so that April one, we're trying to get in there before it gets very busy, I guess, we do have field trips and a lot of kids that come through that area. So our goal is to kind of study and get an assessment of that area because there is a high impact from just public use in the area too. So that's kind of why we picked the Swiss Valley site, just a little bit of background info on that. And then we would like to be able to schedule something with Taylor Schaefer's as well, where she's able to do that Save Our Streams component, just at a different location. So that date should be coming. If you guys just kind of, keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, if you guys are interested too, we can email that out once we get that set up too. And then do you want to say maybe, why the Prairie Creek one was
Yeah,
picked?
and then Prairie Creek, that's one that we're picking. It's close to Maquoketa, so it's a really nice location. And then that one is actually going to be undergoing some stream bank stabilization projects later on in the year. So, hoping to like get some data, on that one, and then get to continue it later on. But, yeah.
So just kind of in summary, we have these separate projects that we're looking for volunteers to help us with. So being able to go out and do some water quality monitoring, but then these programs specifically, or these events here are to be able to kind of train you and get people more comfortable if they don't really know what they're doing at first. And then it's also for us to be able to get that data for those sites as well. So we can kind of have just a better understanding of what our water quality is within those two areas too. Just to kind of give you guys, a little bit of a wrap up on that too.
Yeah.
Cool. Heather, do you have anything last that you thought about or wanted to add at all? Not to just like throw you back out there. Sorry.
I'm drawing a blank, but
Perfect.
that's okay.
Well, I just wanted to give you that chance before we moved on. But once again, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us all about water quality. So
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
All right, everybody, we're going to move on. We're going to be talking about butterflies now, and butterfly surveys within Dubuque County and Jackson County as well. So I'm going to kind of just go to our next page here. So our butterfly survey is through Raymond Gardens, which is out of Iowa State University. They created the Iowa Butterfly Survey Network back in 2006. And so they're the ones, that's where we're going to be submitting our data to. And then we're also are going to be submitting our data to the North American Butterfly Association. And so kind of the goal of this project is for us to be getting a baseline understanding of what butterflies are within our parks. So within the Dubuque County parks and then the Jackson County parks as well. And then and then eventually over time start kind of monitoring that population trend and getting just kind of a better understanding of what butterflies are here and kind of their range throughout a continuous survey. So kind of starting off, our main survey is going to be at the Swiss Valley Preserve. We would really like to just be able to kind of gather as much information as we can at that park, and then eventually over years we will be able to expand out and have reoccurring surveys potentially at other areas. But Swiss Valley is the first one that we're going to do. This one will have a designated route that we'll be following. It has to be surveyed 6 times, and it's the same route each time. And this survey is pretty specific. You can only really have one person actually surveying. You can go with 2 people where somebody's actually writing it down, but there's only one person actually going out and visually seeing the butterflies and reporting back. So this one is, we're looking for volunteers to be able to do that and take on this route. If we get additional volunteers interested in taking on a butterfly survey, we can open up more routes. But right now we just have that one that's at the Swiss Valley Preserve. In the past, we have had 2 routes within Swiss Valley Preserve, and then there was one within the Mines of Spain. But just in case we don't get volunteers, we're just doing that one route right now so that staff can do it. And then again, as we get volunteers, they can take over that route, and then we can add on additional ones as more volunteers are kind of added into it. So with this one, again, just kind of reiterating, this route will have to be surveyed 6 times, and it's between June 1st and August 8th. And about 4 of those surveys have to be done before July 20th. So it does kind of put, a little bit of a constraint on getting those 4 surveys in. You can survey more, but a minimum of 6 surveys has to occur. So on this next page, you can see both routes here. The route that we will be doing is this one here, just because it is a little bit of a shorter route. Again, if we don't get a volunteer who wants to do this route, we'll be just having a staff member do it this first year with the hopes that a volunteer will eventually be able to kind of take it over. And we would love to be able to add on an additional route and or add on the Mines of Spain then too. So for the requirements for it, there isn't any previous experience that is needed. We have some training sessions that would be offered. So we would probably do some in-person ones with you guys. And then the Iowa Butterfly Survey Network, they also have a volunteer packet, and they provide information in a training video for people to be able to understand the protocols and what needs to be done. And then also learning a list of 25 common species. So there are, of course, more butterfly species within Iowa, but there are 25 common ones that you have to know in order to do this. And we would be providing some resources. So when you guys go out, you can have a picture kind of template to look at and reference as well too. And then the last thing would just be to have your phone so that you could be taking those pictures too. Because we won't be using a net. What we'll be doing is just using photos to identify everything. So again, you'll follow that route. If you see a butterfly, you'll take that photo or a video, and you can take some screenshots from that then too. And then we'll upload that data later, to the website. So we do have a few dates already scheduled. These ones are going to be open to the public. So these are not the ones surveying the route that I was just talking about. These ones are going to actually be submitting the data then to the North American Butterfly Association. Their protocols are a little bit more relaxed, where they can have multiple people or more than one person surveying at a time. And so we're able to open that one up to the public more. And those ones will be held at Hertzville Interpretive Center and Prairie Creek Recreation Area. So those are the 2 Jackson County ones. And then the rest are just going to be at Swiss Valley within one of our prairies there. And we do plan on going into August. We just haven't yet decided those dates yet, since we do have a number already scheduled. So those will be coming. We just didn't want to overwhelm everybody too, with dates on the screen too. So that's actually then all that I do have for butterflies. If you guys have questions about butterflies, feel free to drop it in the chat, and I'll kind of answer your guys' stuff as we go for that. But just to ensure that we're kind of staying on track for time and we don't go over, we're going to kind of move it along, and I'll let Julia go and take over birds.
All right, yeah. So birds, love them. So we're going to talk about some of the bird surveys and bird monitoring in Dubuque and Jackson County. So I'm going to start by talking about bird surveys and how you can help contribute to our bird surveys. So there's 2 different ways that you can contribute to the bird surveys. There's self-guided initiatives that you can do literally any time of day, any hour, any day, any time of year. And then there's county-led initiatives where you can come join us, learn more, and help contribute to our data counts. So the self-guided ones, those are ones that you do on your own, and there are a few different ways that you can submit to bird surveys yourself. There's 2 different apps, Merlin and eBird. and they're both really good apps where you can upload bird data that you find any time of day. Those ones are really good because they are the surveys that you do, the data collected is open to the public, so we can still access that data, even if you don't like send it directly to us, we can still see it. So Merlin, like if you're going to take any sort of information about birds from here and bird surveys and how you can upload it, Merlin is the best one. It's super beginner friendly. It's an app on your phone. You literally don't even have to know what a bird is to submit data to this one. So it's really good. It's got a few different steps for you to record data. You can do sound ID. So you can turn your phone on, record the birds around you, and it'll tell you what birds it's hearing. It'll walk you through step-by-step ID. Or you can take a picture and it can help you upload it. So this is an example of the step-by-step ID. So that's the beginning page on the left side of what you see, and then it'll ask you what size was the bird, what were the main colors, what did you see the bird doing, and then it'll give you suggestions for the birds. And then you just have to hit "This is my bird" and it uploads the data, and so then we can see that. If you're a little bit more into birding, eBird's another good one. That one you kind of need to already know some birds because they'll just give you a list and you have to tell how many birds you saw. All right, but then we also have Bluebird box monitoring. This is one where we're always taking volunteers to come help us. This one, we have a few different Bluebird boxes set up at different parks. All of the parks you see listed in there are parks that currently have routes that don't have a volunteer with them. So these are all places where if you're close by to these, you can come out and help us monitor them. So Prairie Creek Recreation Area is the only one in Jackson County. The other ones are in Dubuque County. But if you live somewhere in Jackson County near one of our parks and you think there'd be a good place for Bluebird boxes, let me know. Because I'm hoping to add some more into our Jackson County parks. So what does it take to check Bluebird boxes? You would go out every 2 weeks and you would open up the box. You count how many, what kind of nest is in there, how many eggs are in there, and how many baby birds are in there. Every site has about 10 boxes. Usually monitoring happens between May and August. I will say I was just told that some of the Dubuque County sites recorded some bluebird nests today. So it can happen earlier if you want, but then you don't have to be available every 2 weeks. If you're like going to go on vacation, we can take them over. But yeah, any sort of time like that, usually it's every 2 weeks, but it's a great opportunity for any age, any experience. And each route takes usually up to 2 hours to monitor. And then this is kind of like a little sneak peek into some future opportunities you can have. So Dubuque County has Purple Martin apartments, and Jackson County is getting some Purple Martin apartments. And if you are interested in helping us monitor those to see if there's any Purple Martins, that one's really cute. You basically lower down the apartment and you peek inside and you count how many eggs and fledglings are in there as well. So that's one that we don't have established currently, but if that's something that you've been interested in, please reach out to us because we would love to kind of get some volunteers potentially for that one. All right, and then these are some upcoming bird events where you can help us. So again, those routes on the right, those are some routes that can be adopted if you want to help us monitor the bluebirds. That one, you don't have to be committed for the whole summer, even if you want to take like a week or a couple weeks to kind of help us. And we provide the training on how do you go out there and how do you record the data. And then on the left, those are some birding hikes. So if you had any interest in birding and learning more about how to do surveys, these are guided hikes where we really teach you intro to birding and how to collect the data and upload it and give you tips and tricks on identifying birds. And those ones are in a variety of parks. We've got some in Dubuque County and some in Jackson County. All right. All right, next, I will be talking about bats as well. So these next slides and our bat initiative, I will say, is led by Dubuque County's amazing AmeriCorps member, Izzy. She is a great person to talk about bats, and she will talk about bats for hours. She loves them. She's leading a lot of these. And so these are a lot of the bat initiatives happening in Dubuque County specifically. So First thing, first goal for all of the bat counts is to establish baseline understanding of native bats in our community. So we've got 9 native bat species to Iowa. And we really want to put an emphasis on looking at their populations because the populations of bats around the world have been declining for many because of many challenges, including habitat loss, insect poisoning, wind turbines, and then white nose syndrome is the big one that a lot of people are talking about. So a lot of our monitoring, we're going to talk about roost monitoring and bat counts, guano surveys, acoustic hikes, and then a special event that we have coming up this summer. So roost monitoring reporting, this is a great one for people to get involved, again, on their own if they want to, but these 2 QR codes, the top one will go to roost reporting. So this is a survey that you can have on your phone, and when you're hiking around at any of the Dubuque County parks, if you see a bat roost, either in a tree or an already established box, you can report it online so that we know where they are. And that way we can go back and check on the bats. So this is a great way to kind of passively update us on our bat populations. And then if you want to get more involved, the next QR code is to roost monitoring. So this one, it begins in May, but data is accepted through fall. And it does require an identification of an active roost site. But once we have that active roost site, all you have to do is go out a half hour before sunset, and you have to count how many bats you see exit the roost until an hour after sunset. Ideally, the data is most valuable when it's taken multiple times in a summer at the same site, but that's not a requirement. Any data can kind of help us learn more about our bat populations. All right, additionally, we're doing guano surveys. So this one is partnering with the DNR. Dr. Rachel Rudin, she's conducting statewide guano surveys. So this is one that is happening at Dubuque and Jackson County sites. For these ones, the county staff are taking the guano surveys. There will be opportunities at some of our bat events for you to learn more about our guano surveys and see the guano surveys happening. But if there are any really interested people in bats, reach out to us because they have partnered, they have had sites at like private sites, or they have had people not in county conservation taking the guano surveys before. So if that's something you have an interest in, please reach out. But that one, they're fun. We have established sites, and then we just take a sample of their guano and we send it into the DNR to be tested for white nose syndrome. So we can kind of get an idea of how it's present in the bat populations.
So before Julia
Yeah.
switches, just to kind of say, this one is a little bit more of an accessible one for the public to be able to help with, where the other ones are kind of joining us as well, besides that kind of bat roost one. But this one is, yeah, kind of that active surveying and collection project.
Additionally, these are more cool opportunities where the public can get involved. And this will be a county conservation led initiative, but bat acoustic guided hikes. So they're educational hikes where you can discuss ecology and conservation of bats. But they're really cool. You basically have this little machine that you plug into your phone, and we go around and we listen for bats. So this can help us determine bat species that aren't as common to find in roosts, and some more like migratory bats, and ones that are more elusive. So the little machine, it just listens to the bat squeaks and it helps identify them. And then this data gets sent to, this one will be sent on to other sites that'll help identify it. So one group that we are going to help collect bat data for is Dr. Russell Benedict from Central College. So he's helping us with some of our projects. And so this is one where we're going to hopefully help him by taking bat data to send him. But this one's really fun because you see little bats hopefully flying overhead and hear their little squeaks, and then you get to find out what bat species it is. And then that brings us to our special events that super excited to host. It'll be at Dubuque County Conservation. But Dr. Russell Benedict will be coming down for one night, and he will be hosting a bat mist netting event. So that one's really cool. Bat mist netting, you basically set up these nets to try to catch bats as they're flying through, and then he will very carefully take them out and get to, collect more data on the bats and get to kind of talk about the bats getting netted here.
Yeah, that is going to be open to the public as well. We probably will limit registration. We don't have a location yet set because it's a very specific location you have to find. So we're trying to find the best spot, and we're working with Dr. Benedict on that right now. So that's to come. But if you are interested in coming to that event, definitely keep an eye out. Otherwise, maybe drop in the chat too if you're specifically interested in getting an email about when we set that program date, because just due to the nature of bats and how protected they are and how we really want to make sure that they are kind of safe and everything, we're going to be limiting that registration for that program. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and this will be a really unique opportunity to get up close and personal with bats, which they're a very elusive species. So yeah, this is a really cool opportunity. We're really grateful that he's providing it for us.
Yeah, I'll say I'm very excited for it. So
yeah. All right, and then so this kind of looks at all of the data collection that we're doing. So all of the data collected will be really beneficial for conservation staff in better understanding our bat populations and how we can better serve them and better manage them. It's also going to benefit the DNR and the bat research done at Central College, who will both be accepting various parts of our data. And they'll be looking at white nose syndrome and bat mortality, and then also bat species diversity. And then this is to really quick summarize for you. So the roost reporting and the roost monitoring, that is finding the bat roosts and then counting how many bats come out of them. That is one that you can directly help with. You could go out tomorrow, and if you see a bat roost, upload it for us. So this one's really important. This is a great way for the public to help us because we can only be in so many places at once. And then the guano survey, acoustic hike, and mist netting. These are places where you can take advantage of expert knowledge and come learn more about the bats and get more up close with them, and get more opportunities to learn more about our bats here while also helping us collect data. Oh yeah, and then if you don't know what a roost is, too, reminder for that one, that's any place that a bat is spending the daytime. So anywhere that they sleep during the day, and that they're all kind of congregating. So some bats are solitary, could just be one. Some of them are in little colonies. Like a lot of times it's maternal colonies that we're looking for. So while they're breeding and while they're raising their young, they tend to get together more commonly. These are all of the upcoming events, so I'll give you a chance to write these down if you want. But those first two are the guano collection and the roost count. So at Swiss Valley, you'll go out and you'll help us count the bats and learn more about the guano collection. Those next two, Swiss Valley at Whitewater Canyon, those are the guided acoustic hikes where we'll walk around listening for the bats. That July 19th, that is the mist netting demo. So if you want to help us find bats, mist net for them, learn from Dr. Benedict, go to that one, write that one down, let us know that you want to go. And then we have another roost count in August and another guided hike in August. Take any questions if people have them. But yeah, and I'll be in the chat answering questions too. So we can keep moving on. Yeah.
All right, so this is our other county initiative that we're going to be doing. This one is directly within Dubuque County, and this one is called Snapshot Dubuque. And this is where we have trail cameras set out throughout some of our different parks, and those are trying to capture pictures of wildlife that you normally wouldn't be able to see just by doing a survey. So what we're asking the public to do is eventually we're setting up a website where those photos will be submitted. And then we're asking the public to go on and be able to kind of go through those photos and help us identify them. So we have some, let's say, for example, out at Swiss Valley Park, and one camera that we have out could capture about 300 different pictures. We have to go through those pictures and identify, was there an animal in it, or was it just a leaf kind of moving around? So we're asking the public to help us with that, so that isn't just kind of, being fallen upon county staff then to be doing. So if there was like a deer in the photo, you would be able to click the deer button. If there was a squirrel, you could click squirrel. Fox, same thing. And then that will be able to alert us and kind of help organize that data. We have a bunch of different trail cams out. We have ones at Bankston, Whitewater, Swiss Valley as well. and the Mines of Spain. I might be missing one, so I do apologize. But all of those trail cams are trying to capture a bunch of different wildlife that are out there. Just to kind of throw this out there so people kind of know, we do have some out already, and we were super excited to find this at Swiss Valley. On the trail cams there, we found otters. So that was super exciting. 2 otters were caught on the trail cam. We were super pumped. So now we know that otters are living within the Swiss Valley Preserve and using Catfish Creek. Within the Mines of Spain one, we found a flying squirrel on one of our trail cams. And so we were super pumped about that too, just to know for sure that flying squirrels are within this park. And yeah, so far the project has been working, and we're getting those pictures up. And so that project or that website is going to be coming soon. We'll post it online as well. And this one is just going to be able to be, you can kind of do as at your leisure. You can see the website link here, and then there's also a QR code if you want to go ahead and take a picture of that too. But Zooniverse is where it's going to be, where all those photos will be uploaded. Zooniverse is, a lot of other organizations use this as well. Jason Denlinger, he's one of our naturalists. He's kind of leading this project. He had been working in Africa at one time, and this is a project that's going to be kind of replicated from something that they were doing there with the wildlife that was in that park. So kind of exciting to be able to do this, and this is hopefully going to give us a better understanding of that wildlife diversity that's within the parks that we just aren't able to actually be able to survey and monitor. So already it's showing great results. So we're super excited to see long-term what this is. And I did just remember where our other park is that we have trail cams at. It's John Deere Marsh, which is super exciting because with the bird migration, we're hoping that we caught some really good footage there. And over a long term, we're going to be able to see a lot of those birds species that are kind of coming through the Dubuque area too. So if you do have questions about that, please feel free to drop them in the chat. And then also Jason's email is at the bottom there too. You can directly email him. You can also email Julia and I as well too if you kind of forget, and we can always direct you to him too or answer questions as needed. But it does look like we have a question.
Jason said.
Oh, perfect. So Jason, yeah, commented actually, and he said that this project is live, so you can start right away. So if you scan that QR code or you just look that up, that website up, you can go ahead and get started and start looking at those photos and kind of helping ID the species that we already have on that website then too. So, yeah. If you have, any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll answer them as we keep going along. So lastly, I promise you guys we are almost done, but the Great Swiss BioBlitz, this is going to be a little bit different than our other initiatives. This one is looking directly at this park. All of our other initiatives are kind of focusing on taxa, so very specific groups, so like bats and water quality and our butterflies, where this one is looking at the overall diversity within the Swiss Valley Preserve. So it's going to be happening the entire month of June. We're going to have guided hikes as well, or guided sessions where you can come and learn about IDing, but it's open to the public. So anybody can come at any time. All they need is their phone. Have iNaturalist downloaded. You take a photo, let's say you found a frog. You take a photo of that frog, you upload it to iNaturalist. If you have your locations turned on for your photos, it will automatically pull that location and put it in iNaturalist there. Otherwise, you would have to physically go in and pick where that is. So I do suggest that you have your location services turned on for your photos already. So that, it just makes it a little bit easier. Because I like to just take photos with my phone and then go back and upload later. So then that location is being pulled. But it's very easy. Anybody can do it. You can go out with your family and your friends by yourself anytime throughout the month of June, and you're just documenting the different wildlife that you encounter. So it could be plants, it could be butterflies, it can be bees, it can be frogs, reptiles, amphibians, all of that. And then that's just going to be able to give us another understanding of the overall diversity. So our goal really is just trying to have a bunch of different initiatives and fronts and ways that we are trying to monitor the wildlife and really get an understanding of what is here right now, so that we can continue doing this and actually begin to understand the population trends that are happening here. Right now, we just have to get a baseline down. So that's what this is our second year doing. First was great. We were able to identify, I think, roughly 90 different species within the park. People more species with all the tasks that we're going to look at. That will be specific program events then if you guys are looking and kind of learn more from us versus just going out on your own. These will be family friendly events too, so you can bring the whole family with you, uncles, aunts, cousins, anybody you want. But they're here. Again, it's going to be throughout the month of June. We might add in a few additional ones, so just kind of keep an eye out on Facebook. That's where we'll post everything, and then on the Civic Rec website as well. But yeah, if you have questions about this specifically, feel free to go ahead and put that in the group chat then too, or in the chat, and we can answer that too. Were there any questions? Oh, perfect. Okay, so somebody asked if there was, we had a website where all the jobs we were looking for volunteers. We are hoping to get that up on our website, honestly, within the next, I'd say like 2 weeks. So we don't have that actually up on a website quite yet, so we do apologize, but we can definitely take your name down and then email you this out. And then as soon as we get it up on that website too, we can send that out as well. So it will be coming. Unfortunately, we do not have that yet done, but it will be on both of the Jackson County Conservation website and the Dubuque County Conservation website as well, once we do get that up too. So yeah, great question. Any other one?
You see what website it is? Okay.
Oh,
Actually,
online kind of first.
where's the first?
So for the Jackson County one, it's going to be on My County Parks, and then it'll be a little bit different for the Dubuque County one. It'll be, yeah, not through My County Parks. So we'll kind of give you that info later on. But yeah, does anybody have any questions at all? Otherwise, here's our contact information.
Yeah, and I will say the QR codes on the right, those are to the Dubuque County Conservation Facebook and the Herschel Interpretive Center Facebook. So all of the events that we talked about, we post all of those on our Facebook pages. So the bats, the birds, like every event that was listed on there, that'll be posted on our Facebooks. So if you want to be notified or learn more about our events, check out our Facebook pages. And yeah, we'll keep people up to date on those, and yeah.
Yeah. So we just want to thank everybody for attending and learning more about our citizen science initiative and all the different things that you guys would be able to participate in. Like Julia said, definitely feel free to message us in the chat. You can reach out to us on Facebook as well, or through email, lots of different ways, or just by stopping by the Nature Center. Otherwise, yeah, that is all that we have for everybody. We will just stick around for a few more minutes if people do have questions that they want to talk to us directly about. Otherwise, thank you again for attending, and we hope everybody has a great rest of their night. Right, it looks like everybody, yeah, has put in their questions and stuff. So again, we appreciate you guys for attending. We're gonna sign off. Again, though, feel free to reach out to us at any time with questions if you think of them. Thank you, guys.